Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. My name is Sarah Elizabeth Harrigan, and this is video four of the Doing Me series. So, in this video, we're going to talk about expressing the you, the new you, the you have discovered yourself to be, what it means to express that outwardly, and introduce people to who you are. So the three things that we're going to cover in this video is number one, developing your confidence in the new you and being able to speak about it. Number two is dealing with the old you versus the new you and all the things that people are going to say. And number three is how to express yourself and stay the course. How do you keep it going? Because it's going to be very challenging. So let's jump right into it. Number one, in expressing you is truly developing the confidence in who this new version of you is, right? So like we've covered, obviously this version of you has always existed. However, you now have to learn how to be confident that this you has always existed. You have to be confident in expressing this you that you have newly discovered, this new you that you have now learned, right? And in order to do that, it is taking the time to really pause within yourself, ground yourself. And this is something that I do often because it can be very triggering when you are operating as the best version of yourself and the old version of yourself, the version of yourself that you had created, wants to speak up. It wants to speak louder. It wants to have a say. It wants to defend you and protect you. Now, how do you do that? Now, a trick that I use is actually breathing, right? The power of breathing is profound. Now, when we think about meditation, for example, meditation is all about the breathing and the breaths that we take. If we think about working out, if you actually create a substantial breathing mechanism for yourself, so you're actually able to hold a plank longer than the 30 seconds that you're used to. I now hold my planks for 90 seconds, and it's all because I have learned how to control my breathing. So in developing your confidence and speaking about yourself confidently, it is really relying on your breathing pattern and two, the diaphragm and using your diaphragm. So let me show you how to do that right now. So I've realized that when I get into conversations that are triggering and I want to be on the defensive mode, and what actually supports me is grounding myself with my breathing and actually thinking about what do I want to say? What do I want to say that is going to support my bigger and greater goals, my bigger and greater dreams? And what I do is, actually, you put your thumb right here, and when you breathe out, it pushes your thumb out, and when it goes down, right? So we want to control our breathing in that way. So part one is controlling your breathing. So really learn where, right here, learning where your diaphragm is, and when we do that, it slows down our breathing. So if there's any aggression or a defense mode that we are wanting to use, it actually slows us down. And you don't have to put your finger there all the time. I was just showing you what it looks like to breathe in deeply. So once you have those 3 deep breaths, you can then focus on what is it that I actually want to say? How do I want to portray myself confidently in this situation? So for example, when I am in conversation with my mom is my favorite example because it's a love and resentment relationship, but it's all love, right? Sometimes I get defensive and I just want to be like, leave me the hell alone, let me live my life, and then I breathe in. And in breathing in, I focus on who am I confidently. Confidently, I know what I want for my life, right? Then I also think about what more than likely is her motive. And more than likely, my mother's motive is for my well-being, right? So when I focus on those two things in my breathing, now when it comes time for me to respond to her, I can actually respond from my authenticity. I can actually respond from who I am confidently. And who I am confidently is a woman that knows exactly where she's going with her life. A woman that knows that every YouTube video that I record is making a difference in my ability to speak to a number of people. It is practice for me in front of crowds from 5 people to 100 people to 6,000 people to 1,000,000 people, right? And the minute that I breathe, I remember those things. I become whole and complete in that 3 seconds of breathing. I become whole and complete and confident in what I add to every situation, and then I can listen to what she has to say, take it in, and respond confidently from who I am. So when we think about how do I develop confidence, it is being in a responsive mode versus being in a reactive mode. And the difference between those two is really just taking the time to breathe, silencing ourselves, silencing the chatter in there that is telling us to react and rawr and get back at that person, when in reality all we need to do is silence ourselves, become one with who we truly are, and then focus on what we actually want to communicate. And that is how we allow ourselves to be confident. That is how we train ourselves and develop our confidence. Another example is when I think about dating and how I would previously react and be in relationship is I was always ready to chew someone's head off because I always, for some reason, thought that they were trying to get away with something. And when I learned how to breathe, control my breathing, I was able to communicate confidently what I saw that didn't work in this situation. It wasn't about making them wrong. It was about clearly communicating what works for me. Now, recently, I was dating someone here in the Virgin Islands. He's an awesome person. We're great friends. And there were times where I would get very aggravated by things that he did. And my first reaction, right, when I'm reactionary, it would be to say, what the hell? Why are you doing that? That is so stupid. And then instead of actually saying those things, because I could feel it building up and me wanting to say it, I would stop and I would breathe and I would ask myself, what is really bothering me about the things that are happening? And then I would have to get vulnerable, because what's really bothering me is probably a trauma from before that he didn't actually do. So an example of this is one time I wanted to just react on him and say, like, you need to, like, get your shit together, etc., etc. And instead of saying that, I stopped. I did 3 deep breaths. And what I actually said was, I enjoy your company. I love who you are for the world and who you are for me. However, what I need in a partner is someone that does X, Y, Z. Right? So what I was able to do in that moment is not cut him down at all, but speak about what matters to me, what is important to me, and allow him to step up to the plate or acknowledge that he wasn't that person, right? And I realized that that is so much more powerful and empowering than cutting someone down and pointing the finger at them. And it actually feels good to speak confidently about what I want instead of telling someone that they're not good enough, because that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to tell someone that they're not good enough, and it doesn't feel good to be told that you're not good enough. What does feel good, surprisingly, is being vulnerable about what actually works for you. And sometimes that means giving some context, right? Like, I don't believe that our previous relationships should color our current ones. However, every experience that we go through for a reason. We go through them so we can now see what we like and what we don't like. And it sometimes is powerful to say, in the past, I've experienced something very similar to what is happening now, and it allowed for me to see that what I want in my life is the complete opposite of that, right? And that is so much better than saying, oh my God, you're just like my ex. You do the same bullshit that he does and it pisses me off. Like, that doesn't even feel good. Even coming out of me, that just doesn't feel good. It does not jive with my good vibe, right? So every day I'm working towards doing things that feel good and communicating confidently about what works for me feels good. I get to do it in a tone of voice that is sexy and sultry and allows people to feel safe. So number one in the expressing you portion of this is to develop your confidence by utilizing your breath and your breathing and really tuning in to who you actually are, what you want based on who you actually are, and always speaking from a point of I, right? Never use your language to cut someone else down. Never use your language to tell someone else what to do. The most empowering thing that you can do is express yourself from, this is what I know about myself. This is what I know that I want for myself. And I'm not going to have anything less than that. I will not settle. I will have it, and I am going to do whatever I have to in order to accomplish that, right? So much more powerful than cutting someone down. So number one is developing your confidence and relying on your breathing to do so. Number two in expressing you is understanding that there is going to be an experience that people have of the old you. And because people know the old you and they've known the old you for X amount of time, they're going to want to hold on to that old you, right? The same way, and this is what I shared in the Letting Go series, the same way you have to let go of the way of being that does not work in order to pick up the way of being that does, you now have to train the people who you are constantly in relationship with that the ways of being that you used to exemplify are no longer how you want to show up in the world. So they can choose. You can either choose to hold on to your old idea of me and who I used to be, or you can choose to pick up the new me and to support me in becoming a better version of myself. Now, it is going to be challenging. What is going to be challenging about that? People are going to constantly say, oh, I know you. I already know how you go on. I already know how you act. And it is going to be challenging to have to combat that all the time, saying, okay, yes, I was that way. I acknowledge that I was that way. However, I am putting in the work to be different. I am putting in the work to be who I truly want to be, which is the best version of me. And you can either choose the best version of me, or you can hold on to the old version of me that makes you feel comfortable. And one thing that we have to realize is that people will hold on to the version of you that supports the version of them and how they want to show up in the world. So if someone always wants to be combative, then they're going to hold on to the version of you that used to fight with them. They're going to hold on to the version of you that would rather curse them out than walk away. So as you are now growing into the person that now breathes and knows that it's a waste of your energy to fight with them, as you are growing into and being this person, they're going to want to hold on to the old version. They might say some things that trigger you. They might do some things that trigger you. However, it is your choice in living into who you say you are and being who you have now learned of yourself to be. You are going to be challenged to continue going in that direction versus going and playing with them with the old version of yourself. Now, a great way to look at that is, I think was it Michelle Obama that said, when they go low, we go high, right? We are, as our best selves, always on a saucer. We're floating on this saucer, being this amazing person. And then you have that person that wants the old version of you to they're trying to trigger the old version of you. They're saying stuff, they're doing stuff, they're being whoever they're being in the world. And what they're trying to do is to get you to lower your saucer, or maybe even come off of your saucer and be down here with them in the mud. Who wants to be in the mud? Except pigs. I love pigs. I had raised a pig. Her name was Aisha. No, we don't want to be in the mud. We want to be up on our saucer flying high. We want to be up in our private jet flying everywhere in the world. Speaking my life into existence, y'all. That's where we want to be. So you have to understand in step 2 of this that there is going to be a challenge between the old you versus the new and true you. And more than likely, in most opportunities, most times, the challenge is going to be from outside external sources who feel like they know the old you and they prefer the old you. And the only reason they prefer the old you is because they're comfortable with that. They know how to manipulate the old you, and the new you cannot be manipulated. Okay, so the number 2 in expressing you is understanding that you are going to be challenged, right? Old you versus new you. And you're going to have to say to people that, yes, I used to operate in that way, right? This is expression right here. It's acknowledging how you used to be, because guess what? We can never forget where we came from. And it's not only where we came from materialistically, like my old mindsets are also somewhere that I came from. So acknowledging, yes, I acknowledge I used to be that way. I used to act that way. However, that is not who I am being now. That is not who I am living into and growing into. So you can either choose to accept me as I grow and as I glow, or you can hold on to the old me and know that I'm not there. You can argue with yourself, homegirl. I ain't gonna be there with you, okay? So number 2 in expressing you is being able to express when you're changing, when you're going from the old you into the new you, and knowing that when people don't accept it, that is not your problem. You are to remain on your high saucer and get them to level up with you, or they can stay down there and just be someone that you no longer communicate or deal with. All right? Now, the last point in expressing you is really understanding how to stay the course. How do you continue on this road of learning myself and being myself in integrity and expressing myself fully? The number 1 thing is to stay consistent, okay? Consistency is a challenge for all of us because what we used to do, what we know to do is comfortable. We know how to do it already. We already know how we feel if we operate in that way. However, in order to have those new results, to have the new relationship, to have the new bank account with a whole lot of money, to have the new house on the hill and the private jet and the mega yacht, to have all the things that you want to have in life, you now have to create new behaviors, new habits. And in order to make something a habit, you have to do it consistently. So in order to express who you are and be who you are, you have to do it consistently. It will be a challenge. We are not going to get to a point where we've just, okay, boom, I'm here, I don't gotta do nothing for it. Like, every day you are going to be challenged, whether that be challenged in who you're being, whether that be challenged in what you're eating, whether that be challenged in, I want to go to sleep tonight, but I want to go to the movie. Like, we're going to constantly be challenged with the things that show up in our lives, and it is us being powerful and understanding that if we are consistent, that will support us in getting to our goals. The second point of how to stay the course is to know that being misunderstood is okay. All right. Now, I have recently had an example of this in my own life where, as a confidence coach, as a life coach, I'm sure that many people in society have their own expectations of what a life coach should act like, dress like, be like. However, I'm very unconditional. I am very untraditional is the word, non-traditional, unconventional is the word I was looking for. I like to do Sarah. I like to do me, right? This is what this series is about, doing me. And what that looks like is loving all aspects of me, mental, emotional, physical. And one of my biggest successes recently was releasing almost 90 pounds. So now I get to wear things that I was never able to wear before because I was told I was too big or I didn't have the confidence to do it. And recently, I was invited to speak at an event. It was a birthday party, and it was a lingerie birthday party. However, I was asked to speak about self-love and self-care and self-confidence. And because all of us had to wear lingerie, that's what I was wearing. I also took some photos of myself that night because the environment was gorgeous and not gonna miss a photo opportunity. And I shared some of those pictures online. Now, it was brought to my attention that some people they were saying that, we were considering working with her, but because she posted a picture in lingerie, we just don't know. And when that was brought to my attention, it was told to me that I should not do that thing anymore because it's conflicting. And what I made clear is that I am not who you expect me to be. I am Sarah Elizabeth Harrigan. Of all of the pictures I post ever, there may be 3 pictures of me in lingerie, maybe 2 pictures of me in lingerie out of 100 pictures. So people are going to choose what they want to focus on. They are going to misunderstand you because they want to, versus looking at the bigger picture. If 98 out of 100 pictures are fully clothed and are talking about positive and uplifting things, why are you choosing to focus on the 2 where I am in lingerie and I am still talking about positive and uplifting things? I'm just wearing lingerie. Right? So we cannot control every aspect of our lives. We cannot control how people perceive us. And a lot of the times we will be misunderstood, and that is okay. And that is number 3 in expressing you, that sometimes what you express, maybe how you carry yourself and what you do, will be misunderstood. And I want you to know that that is okay. All right, so just to recap this video, number 4 of the Doing Me series is called Expressing You. Number 1 is developing the confidence, using your breathing to support and sustain you in those moments where you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm nervous, or I'm getting angry, or whatever the circumstance may be. Utilizing your breathing to ground you, to get you back in alignment and in tune with who you are and who you are for this world. And then when focusing on those things, express from that point of view versus expressing from being nervous, or expressing from being doubtful, or expressing from being less than. You can now express from being perfect, whole, complete, competent, powerful, all of the things that you truly are. All right. Number 2 is in expressing you is understanding that there's going to be an old you, a version of you that already exists. It's in the past, right? We know that the past doesn't determine who we are today, and it doesn't determine our future. However, people do have an experience of the old you, and they will be confused. They will not want to accept the new you, and it is your responsibility to be able to express to them that, yes, I acknowledge I was there back in the day. I was that person back in the day. However, now I have learned a few new things. I have gone through some stuff, and I am working on being the best version of myself. And every day it's a challenge, but I'm inviting you to acknowledge me now where I'm at. I'm inviting you to accept me now where I'm at. And I'm inviting you to come up here, raise your saucer up here so that we can do great things together. And if that doesn't happen, then you just let them go. And lastly, how to stay the course, right? Number 1 in staying the course is being consistent, right? Showing up every day. Yes, it's going to be challenging. It may look different every day. However, showing up at 100% every day consistently, being the version of you that you want to be in the world, is going to support you in staying the course. And number 2 in that is understanding that you will be misunderstood, and that is okay. Like I said online, and I think a better way to state it is, there are people that are going to shop at Whole Foods, and there are people that are going to shop at Publix. We all have a choice. Sometimes we're going to shop at both of them, but you don't need to bend and break who you are to be understood. Continue to be Whole Foods, do things your way, and attract the people that want the wholeness that you bring to the world. All right? Wonderful. So this is the 4th video in the Doing Me series. Wow, we have ran through this. Next week is number 5, and I'm just so excited to be doing this with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. If this made a difference for you, please take the time out to leave a comment. Let me know what opened up for you. Let me know what difference this is making. And of course, share your comments and your thoughts with the other people that are watching. Make sure that you share this video with the people that you love so that we can all gain a new perspective and gain something different in our lives. And lastly, subscribe to this channel. Put the notification bell on so you always know when something else drops, okay? So we will see you next week in our final video of the Doing Me series. Peace out, y'all.